In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
We're back!
Hey, welcome back to the Spinner Rack, and we've got some new books up for you, some nice reviews, you hope. But before I go any further, Petey, say hello to the people.
Hey everyone, here we got 3 books for you. Let it rip.
So, who's up first? Who's up second? Who's on third? Why don't we go with Justice League first?
Yeah, okay. What were you thinking about that?
I actually like that. I actually gave that on all cylinders. I thought that first issue was clicking on all cylinders. It's not something that's done a lot with comics at this point, where it's a good jumping on point, where if you're someone who doesn't read Justice League or you just want to get started and it's a number 1 issue, this is a good place to get started. The characterization was pretty tight. You know, the plotting was almost, it's a shame that in this day and age, I think plotting is phenomenal just because they were able to tell a story in 1 issue because they love to decompress everything so much. But I really enjoyed this issue. You know, I have some more to say about it, but what did you think?
I really didn't really work that well for me. It didn't work that well for me at all. It was a little too light as far as the story, and I really, as being a former fan of Tony Daniels, seemed like his storytelling is really simplified to, like, not, I wouldn't say go full on Image, but he's gotten to be real simple. So there wasn't enough story for me here. And since I already read his first, I read the first issue of his other Justice League that Hitch did, which I liked at least the first issue. I didn't continue. I ran out of steam on it. I just wanted to see a little more story in this. And, this to me is the first 5 pages of the Justice League, not not the whole first issue. So I just need a little more. There wasn't enough story for me on this one.
Now, you said Tony Daniel, but you mean Brian Hitch, right?
No, it's the artist. His storytelling really, is really simplified. Like the Flash scene didn't work for me with the double page splash. It just say, here it is. It's, some things where when I saw him when he really didn't, he used to draw for X-Force. He really didn't have anatomy down. He wasn't really strong in anatomy, but he really had a good sense of storytelling and, so sort of driving the narrative. And now it sort of seems like he's been in the business for a while. He has a flashy sort of style and finishing, but that initial storytelling of, how things worked on the page isn't as strong to me. So I wish I'd just see a little more story here.
I was fine with it simply because it wasn't decompressed, that they were able to get this story done. And I said, okay, this is the first issue of you're starting up Justice League yet again. This is like volume, 1800, whatever it may be. And if you're trying to get people on board, long-time reader, newer reader, I thought this was just a good place to start. And he did something with the characters that I don't find in a lot of the Justice League stories, where he was able to utilize all of them pretty well for the duration of this story. I find that when they go on longer, it's a 4-issue or it's a 5-issue story, some of the characters just get lost because you really don't need Aquaman on the team. There's that sequence where they're all shooting energy, at the little lines at the points where Superman marked for them, and I'm looking and like he literally tried to get everybody in there shooting some kind of energy. The Flash is doing some, sending some vibration. Everybody's trying to shoot something at that point. And it's a hard thing to do with this team because to be quite honest, you really don't need anybody else but Superman. You got him, you pretty much got the entire league. You got all the power, the powers at the end of the day. But you had to juggle 3 things I thought in this issue. 1, you have a Superman who doesn't belong to the Justice League and is still kind of getting over the other guy dying, which is not here nor there, but that's one of the setups that you have. And then 2, you have 2 new Green Lanterns on the team. And then lastly, you have that core of the team that's there right now, but they're still not quite enough to deal with the threat. And, he's throwing a really big threat at them. Well, for those of you who play Mass Effect, you know exactly what this was all about with the, with the large thing, and it wants to come over and harvest, so that wasn't too original. But I thought he did a very good job in introducing all of the characters, playing up to their relative strengths as to where they are on the team and why they're on the team, and what makes them an integral member of it, and then bringing in the old new Superman, if you will, and really explain why is it that they need Superman on the team. And I love the guys who can do the archetypical Superman, because Superman is based on that hero archetype, that when all else fails, Superman or that hero is going to come at the last second, and save the world, make everything better, that sort of thing. And you did that in this issue. So, for me, it worked. I don't know how it's going to work going further, but I do want to see the second issue. This did enough for me. This clicked on all the right cylinders for me to keep reading.
Yeah, no, I can't say the same. It's a little too, just more snapshots of stuff where you could. The only thing I can liken it to, if you compare I don't know, like Jim Lee's X-Men #1, and where it has a beginning, sort of a middle, some sort of plot that goes on that drives you to the next issue. Like this sort of has some plot that's going, but it's just really simplified with these, like the destruction and the flashy shots. So I really want this whole segment to be like the first 5 or 10 pages and get me something else, get it a little quicker, instead of, we don't necessarily need these big pages. I mean, I understand you want the destruction, but hold on for a second. I understand you want the destruction and what I understand we want the destruction, but I could get a lot more from this story, cutting down some of the pages, making it simpler, and then you get the second issue in here already. That's just me.
Well, I guess we won't be reviewing Justice League 2. So what's up next?
Well, you're gonna give your score. What are you gonna give it, a 5?
Yeah, 5 out of 5. I mean, look, the plotting is, the whole idea is, I looked at it and say, okay, what were these guys trying to do? They're trying to tell a solid story in one issue, get all the characterization done, keep readers on for the next issue. And, if it was another book, okay, but Justice League, that is a heavy book to try to carry because of the characters and because you have to give everyone something to do. And then you got characters like Batman and Superman on the team, and most of the time they take care of this stuff on their own. So, the plotting is there. I can't really say there was a grandiose, even a lightweight theme. That was pretty much absent from the whole thing, other than just we need to get this team together so we can have a Justice League. But other than that, yeah. I mean, if you're somebody who ponied up your cash for this, I don't think you'd be too disappointed. I don't think you'd be disappointed at all.
I know I'm going with a 2. You might be able to stay with it.
A 2?
Yeah, it's not much there as far as just them. This is like, you can do this stuff in like I would give them 5 pages to do this. I mean, it's nice and flashy to give a lot of destruction, but cull this down and get to the plot, get to what you want to do. 'Cause most of the stuff is going to be happening in issue 2 now. All the destruction and the hint of what's going on is happening in 1. Cull this down. It's not to decompress as much as you've seen in the past, but there is some decompression as far as here. So I gotta give it a 2.
I don't know about decompression. That's more like, we used to call that subplot.
No, that's not subplot. Like, if you do a subplot really long, then it's sort of decompressed. I'm saying you can, like, in a Justice League story, like one of the ones you could get, like Perez would do, you could get everyone doing something, everyone being showcased, and you got a beginning, a middle, and an ending. So, yeah,
but Perez didn't come in the middle of a big mess that happened that was the New 52, with these characters all out of whack. The Justice League not stopping. It's a totally different situation. You give me a situation that's more comparable to what's going on, and I'll say okay. But that's why I said this was a heavy lift. You had 2 different Justice League series going on. Hitch was doing one, and Johns was doing the other. Both of those things didn't really wrap up anything. They kind of left like threads. I mean, Hitch didn't even wrap his up. He got as far as, what was it, 7 And, he was supposed to be 8 issues, and he didn't even get a chance to finish. And then we have to go over here. We have a totally new status quo. We got new members on the team. Literally, you have a Superman on the team, and there was already a Superman on the team, and he's dead. That's confusing enough, I think, for most people. So you got to handle all of that and do your first issue. I think if they did it the way that you are describing, I think you lose people at that point, because it's just too heavy a lift for people to come in and say, why do I want to be bothered with this?
What, to just see basically just some, I don't know. There's not much here as far as the story.
Well, I don't see it as, I can't see you giving it a 2. I mean, you got to give some bigger reasons other than what you gave, a 2. That's, come on. Either you're going to slate it, full out and give it a 2, but you can't be as nice as you are and say, oh, I'm going to give it a 2. I'm going to give it a bad score, but be nice about it. Slate it if you're going to do that. Oh, you said it was like, I don't like the splash page and I thought it should have been longer. That's a 2?
No, I thought there should be more story. I said this is like, to me, this is first 5-10 pages of a story leading to something else.
Okay, but you're gonna get a second issue. So if you had read this in trade paperback form, you may have liked it.
But I'm not reading the trade paperback form. I'm reading this one issue.
I don't know if that's a fair assessment. I don't know.
I've read the Justice League in the past. In a Justice League comic, they could have a ton of destruction in the first 5 pages and get to the story already. I don't want to look at...
No argument with you there. But if that was a story where they had a totally new status quo, a Superman who was new to the team after the last Superman died, then yeah, I would say okay. But it's not comparable.
Oh, that doesn't work for me. That's asking...
Obviously it doesn't. That's why you handed out 2s. Okay, so it's a 2.
Somebody's got to hand it out to 2. So, and this one... As far, writing and all that, you can say that's fine enough. But I'm saying just story-wise, that's where I'm taking points off of it.
Okay.